Like all our fitness goals actually have a lot less to do with the actual fitness than we think they do.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Truth Talks, the podcast that brings you real strategies for sustainable fitness transformation. As always, I'm Courtney, and this is my brother, Paris. And as fitness people, we talk a lot about goals, right? Like having goals, setting new goals, other people's goals. And I think if you look at social media, everyone's like, hashtag goals, like about pretty much everything to do with fitness.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked last week about how we both have goals right now, or a couple weeks ago, about our fat loss goals, right? And how we're both that's a goal that we each have.
Mhm.
But one of the questions I was kind of thinking about after is like, do you actually need a fitness goal all the time? And do you always need to have a goal? And do you need to have a fitness goal to quote unquote be successful on your fitness journey? So that's what we're going to kind of dive into today. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely think that's an interesting topic, and I definitely have some thoughts on it. So
I know
I'm
you do.
excited.
I
Yeah.
I kind of was already thinking about what would Paris think about this
Mhm,
when we were designing the outline together, which is kind of cool.
mhm.
So I think the first thing is just diving into why there's this kind of pressure around goals. Like how do you see that just out in the general like fitness ecosystem, fitness conversations in the industry and how the industry talks about goals? What does that look like in
Yeah,
your from your
I,
experience?
I think it's just like the personality type that would be most attracted to fitness as like whatever you
Mm,
want to call it, a hobby or an interest, like
hmm
a forefront interest, is a type of person that is probably a little bit more target oriented or goal oriented in some way, shape, or form. And fitness is a way to kind of express that.
mm.
Or a vehicle for them to enter to explore that even further in a different way than they have before. So I think that's why. And I think, yeah, I think that's the main reason why goals are so important.
And you think it's just about like creating a vision, or you think it's more about like just the act of having aspirations makes you do the work? Like which one do you think it leans into more often?
I think it is. It's like something that keeps you focused. It's like base all your decisions in a day, in a week, in a month, or whatever are kind of anchored
Aligned.
on the goal
Yeah.
and aligned with the goal. So
Yeah.
when a lot of times you won't have that kind of, I guess, not the same level of drive or the same level of like oomph when you're kind of attacking your day to day if you don't have the goal because it gives the purpose, like, right? We've
Mhm.
talked a lot about like the why behind things and setting goals, but I think the goal always gives you that consistent reminder in the back of your mind of like why you are doing the things, why you're putting in the hard work, why you're taking these specific actions. It's like, oh yeah, because of this.
Right, right. So it's almost like having a goal sometimes isn't even about what the goal itself is,
Mhm.
but it's inspiring the behaviors that kind of make it
Exactly.
work for you, right? So like I theoretically I could set any arbitrary goal, but if it changed the way I showed up every day, it's serving a purpose.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think technically what the goal is doesn't actually matter as much of just having a goal and having a specific goal. Because sometimes people say like, I want to get in shape. Well, what does that even mean?
Right.
Right? Or I want to be healthier. Like, what does that mean? Right? You're in control of what you feel like your goal should be.
Mhm.
Like you're in the power to choose whatever direction you want. But I do think you need a goal and B, a specific goal. All right. But if you check those two boxes, it doesn't really matter what the goal is
Yeah.
as much.
Yeah, the specific part I find interesting, and you and I did an like I think it was our first ever episode was actually about goal setting, right? And it was in time for our New Year's and everything, and how people can set goals for the new year. So I'll link that one below. But the specificity of goal setting is something that I've personally always struggled with, just for me and my personality type, because sometimes I don't always know like this is the exact thing I want.
Hmm.
And so when you think about having a specific goal, I do think there's a lot of subjectivity in terms of what does specific mean for the person. Just like you said, okay, having a goal that you've created for yourself is important and it's your own because if I say I want to get in the best shape of my life, that means something different to me than someone else. Or I want to eat healthier, which,
Yeah.
we have
Sure.
some issues with that concept as a generic label, but like it means something different to me than for somebody else, right? So I think the specificity is so personal and just recognizing, okay, what that really translates into is a specific vision.
Yes.
And if you have clarity on your vision, that can be really helpful in identifying, okay, what actions actually do support that vision so that you can embody them on a day to day basis.
Exactly. And the more specific you can get with that vision, the more calculated you can get with your actions. And therefore, the more precise you are with the execution of the goal, kind of thing, right? But if you have kind of lofty goals, you have general actions, and you kind of end up in floating around
Mhm,
almost,
mhm.
right? So that's why I think like specificity is a main thing that a lot of people are missing. And sometimes it's okay to not know that specificity, but a coach can kind of bring that out of you.
That's true.
Or they
Mhm.
can say like, "Hey, here's what I think you want. Let's start chasing that." And then you might kind of decide that we kind of peak the direction a little bit this way or a little bit that way as we go. And then you'll have more clarity just but you have to get the ball rolling. But I do think a good coach can kind of be like, "All right, based on what you just told me, let's do this." And then we can always kind of yeah, tweak
I
it.
think a goal is like drawing your map, right? It's
Yeah.
like drawing your map, and we've talked a lot. We do so many driving analogies, but it's really
Yeah.
like figuring out your GPS route. And sometimes you might say like, okay, as we get going, we decide to take the scenic route, or as we get going, actually we add another destination on
Mhm,
along the way,
mhm.
or we stop at this attraction and figure it out for a little
Yeah.
bit, whatever it is. But it's like just kind of having a map to get you going. And I think one thing you and I both share is neither one of us enjoys feeling stuck
Mhm,
or
mhm,
enjoys feeling stagnant or enjoys the prospect of never making progress. And I think, therefore, you and I are both people who advocate for having goals because it draws that future focus out of us. It
mhm,
draws that desire for self improvement out of us. And um, it encourages us to keep on the route of self development, even when the goal that you set might not even be the thing you set out to do to start with.
mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Does that make any sense?
absolutely.
Or am I talking
Yeah,
nonsense?
yeah. Yeah, no, and I do think it's my perception on goals, I do think has changed over time. And I do really think about my goals as I have this like long-term vision,
Hmm.
right? Of kind of what kind of person I want to be, what kind of physique I want to have, like all those kind of things. And then from there I kind of said, okay, well, what's my next step that would take me one step closer to
Mm,
that? And that's then that becomes just my only focus, that checkpoint. And then once I had that checkpoint, then it's like, okay, what's the next logical checkpoint from here to move closer to this like ultimate
mhm,
vision? And it
mhm,
doesn't even matter if I ever reach this vision because it will evolve over time.
mhm.
But it just matters that that grand vision allows me to create these mini checkpoints, you know.
And ultimately gets you somewhere that you wouldn't otherwise be. Like, that's the point, right? It's like I think to a certain extent, this might sound controversial, but it's kind of irrelevant if you meet that specific vision or
Mhm.
not.
Yeah.
What's actually relevant is, are you discovering some new territory that is satisfying to you and keeps you
Mhm.
in this state of self-advancement?
Yes, it keeps you accountable to focusing on progress.
Mhm.
That's what it does. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's why goals are so important when it comes to
Mhm.
fitness as well. And I think a lot of what we just spoke to exists outside of fitness too, whether we're talking about family goals, relationship goals, lifestyle goals, like all of that comes together. But when we're speaking to fitness, I do feel like there is a tendency to make goals either short sighted. I'm going to say overly specific, but then I'm going to get into that. Like, actually, narrow is what I'm going to say. So, short sighted, narrow, or generic. And those are 3 issues that I personally find challenging when we're talking about fitness goals I'd love to, like, explore together. You wanna start
Yeah.
with, like, short-sighted goals?
Yeah. Go for it.
Okay, so I think short-sighted goals is something that I struggle with because I see people setting goals, and again, we are pro goal setting, always pro goal
Yes.
setting. But I feel challenged when someone has a goal that doesn't have an iterative nature to it. It's like, okay, so if you pick a goal that's like, "In 8 weeks, I wanna lose 10 pounds." Great. That is an awesome goal that can inspire you to start taking the actions, change your behaviors, get the ball rolling. What happens next?
Mhm.
And like when you reach that goal, is that goal still important to you? Or like what's next? So sometimes when things are too short-sighted, I do struggle with goal setting around that. And I'm not sure if you see that with people as well or you have experience with that yourself, but I do think that sometimes if a goal is too short-sighted, we need to advocate for either setting the next goal, setting an iterative goal that can evolve, or maybe setting a higher level goal that extends beyond a short time frame.
Yeah, I think that's it, and it's those goals kinda are missing the grand vision that we talked about
Yes.
before. That's why where they're falling short, and typically those types of people never actually accomplish maybe a level that they could if
Mhm.
they don't because they're missing the bigger picture,
Mhm.
essentially.
Mhm.
It's like we need the big picture first before we get into the kinda
Yeah, yeah,
nitty-gritty, right?
exactly. Like, it's like, okay, so if you succeed on that goal and you lose 10 pounds in 8 weeks, whatever goal you set for yourself, why does that matter to you? Like, what does
Yeah.
that allow you to do that you wouldn't do before? Or what does that get you closer towards?
Yeah.
Right. So that to me is like, um, I do admittedly struggle when other people push those short term goals on people because it doesn't really allow them to do that self discovery work of like, what am I really working towards here?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I love that. I love that. That kind of sums up the first one, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Second one is narrow goals, right? And I think it kind of relates to the first example is like sometimes if it's narrow and you're like, okay, the only goals that exist are either I'm going to lose weight or I'm going to, bring my dress size down a couple sizes or I'm going to add 10 pounds to my squat. All those goals have a lot of merit to them, right? But sometimes they,
Absolutely.
they do just like a short-sighted goal that might have a limited time frame on it. If it's too narrow, then again, I still feel like it's missing that vision.
Hmm. Hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's kind of like borderline superficial, almost like it's or
Yeah.
not super. It's just it's kind of just
Surface
glancing on
level.
the surface. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, not superficial, surface level. Because like, okay, I'm gonna get to a lower dress size or whatever, or lose a bit of weight, but it's like okay, like, yeah, what's the significance on that? And again, as you were talking about before, like, what's that unlocking for me that I previously didn't
Mhm.
have?
Mhm.
And asking yourself those kind of deeper questions, and really getting at the root, because it's easy to say, "Oh, I want to lose 15 pounds." It's like, okay, but like, there's four other layers under that, right? And it's usually, I want to
Why?
lose 15. Yeah,
And
it's as
why?
the
I'm
five
I'm
whys, right?
interrupting you on
Yeah,
purpose because if you were
yeah.
saying to that to me, I'd be like, "Why? Why? Why? Why?"
There's like 5 whys, and there's even I think
There's
I never
technique.
yeah, there's a technique or something where like go 5 whys deeper, and
It's
I think a
called the
lot of
5
people
whys technique, yeah.
oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
there
you
we
nailed
go.
it.
Okay. So, yeah, because like, I wanna lose 15 pounds, and then if you just keep digging layers deeper, and eventually you actually land on something that you might not even have realized until you kinda took it there, right?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
as an example, I might say I wanna lose 15 pounds, but it's actually so that I can get a promotion. And you're like, "Well, how is that even freaking related?"
Mhm.
But it's like, I lose 15 pounds so that I can, fit into my new suit, so that I can then deliver my presentation better, so that my boss can give me some recognition, so that then later down the line, I'm a great candidate, so that I can also feel confident in that series of interviews to
Yes.
then get the promotion. But it's
Yeah.
like, well, if we just say we're doing 15, losing 15 pounds, like that's nothing compared to where we end at.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely. So you can see how that goal that seems narrow to begin with,
mhm,
don't stop there. I think that's why I
yeah,
have a problem with narrow goals is because not because they're not specific enough, but because they're not meaningful enough,
mhm,
right? So when you
yeah,
start to get deeper into that, you're like, "Holy, this goal really matters. This goal can
mhm,
be life-changing. This and
yeah,
that's a real goal." That I think one of the things we're doing kind of intuitively here is we're almost using goal and vision interchangeably. I think we keep advocating for a bigger vision for yourself. And a lot of times when we talk about goals, we do get stuck in like that more narrow or short sighted kind of style things. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because yeah, there's a like, even for me, if you think about men are typically driven by things like respect and even status and um attraction from women. It's like stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But if you say just 15 pounds, you're not hitting on all the deep core things that you're actually really thinking about, right?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if one of those doesn't matter to you or whatever. Like, choose whatever actually matters to you, and then you can go from, yeah. Instead of, I want to lose 15 pounds, is like, I want to walk into a room and have people immediately respect me, for who I am and the way I carry myself.
Yeah.
Like, that's so different and so much larger than, oh, I want to lose 15 pounds. Like, who gives a shit? I no, excuse my French, but about the 15 pounds, it's what that like happens when you do that.
Right. It reminds me of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? Like for some people, losing, let's say 30 pounds actually is for health outcomes, which are like the biological needs, right?
Yes.
And for other people, it's not. For other people, it is about status or even, the self self actualization. I was
Sorry.
like, holy crap, what's the tip of the triangle?
Yeah.
Self actualization, right? It's about a reflection of who you are. And so I really encourage anybody who has a fitness goal to understand, okay, this goal that feels surface level or narrow, what does it really mean for me in terms of how it impacts my life, how it impacts my sense of self, how it impacts my relationship with others, and how it ultimately contributes to creating a vision or identity that I see myself fulfilling on like an existential level. And I know I went super philosophical with that, but I do think that
No, yeah, yeah.
that's kind of how we need to think about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because
Yeah.
it's like who, like, for example, let's visualize most optimized Courtney,
Hmm.
right? Like the peak Courtney superhero
Yeah.
Courtney that she's already a superhero, but like, the Courtney maxed out on all her like,
Courtney Maxing.
Courtney
Courtney Maxing.
Courtney maxing. Like part of that is probably going to be a certain level of physique development,
Hmm.
right? For her to reach her potential. So it's like, okay, it's part of the vision and the grand vision. Because as much as we hate to admit it, like a lot of our personal brand is also based off of our appearance,
Hmm.
and and it's true. I'm sorry. And even from I think I was like 12 years old, and my dad, you already was saying personal brand is important. Like I'm like, Dad, I'm going to freaking fourth grade. Like I don't like
When you
I
were
don't
12, you
care.
were going into seventh grade, just for the
All
record.
right,
But
sorry, yeah. So,
I'm
okay,
sure the
maybe I was 9
conversation
then in
started
4th.
in fourth
But
grade,
he's
though.
like, "Just so
Yeah.
you know, like, personal brand is really important." It's like,
Hmm.
"All right, well,
Hmm.
I guess he's kinda right. I didn't
Hmm.
really need to be personal branding myself in 4th grade, but, like, now I"
You were, though. You were
So,
the kid who always made faces in photos, but also kind of a cool kid. So.
yeah, it's funny. But anyway, so it's kinda like these big things, that kinda influence our entire lives,
Hmm.
uh, can be tied to these fitness goals. So all we're saying, long spiel is go deeper.
Yep.
Okay,
Don't
next
stay
one.
narrow. Okay. Next
Yeah,
one. So the third challenge we had with, let's say, standardized or like, you know, mainstream fitness goals is that they can often be generic. And I think this actually really ties into what we were just saying about why you need to think beyond the narrow goals, is because a lot of times the narrow goals are something that theoretically could apply to a bunch of people. And you see this in fitness marketing too, right? And this is why sometimes I struggle with representing like what we, like if I'm talking to somebody, I don't want to talk about like what we do, because it's about what we can extract from them. How can we can personalize it? So when we have like consultation calls and stuff, the conversation is different with each and every person.
mhm,
The,
mhm.
this the conversation is completely different because it's about the person, right? And so I think making sure that your goals are not generic is so important for you, because ultimately your goal is your personal vision, right? And if we take that same example where we uncover the 5 whys, and you talk about your person who wants to lose 15 pounds to get that promotion, there's someone else who wants to lose 15 pounds, but when they do their 5 whys exercise, they land in a completely different place. So I think making sure that you set goals that are not generic, not just anybody can do this or anybody wants this thing or everybody else is doing the same thing. It's like, well, what is your goal for you? Like my Courtney Maxing example is something that's going to be specific to me because it has my name in it. But if you think about you, Paris, right? Like you'd say there's a lot of guys out there. I'm going to assume for a second, a lot of guys out there want to add muscle. You're on a journey of adding muscle to your frame. But for you, there's a deeper meaning behind why you're adding muscle
For sure.
and the places that you're adding it and how it relates to how you show up within your relationships
Mhm.
for our clients, for the business, all that. There's a
Yep.
very unique personal element to your desire to build muscle underneath it all.
100%. And you really that's again, it feeds into going deep. I don't know why I thought about the notebook, like, what do you want? It's not that simple,
Like
but
Ryan Gosling
it,
yelling.
it shouldn't be it shouldn't be that simple, you know? Like
Yeah.
and that's why it's always I feel like there's a list of like 7 questions I always ask, like not the same ones, but I end up asking 7 questions to try to get people to go deeper when I'm asking them, because also it's very hard to create a very personalized, tailored plan to somebody if you don't have specificity, and it is kind of a generic,
Hmm.
general kind of
Hmm.
goal that lacks like, you know, a person specific
Hmm.
orientation, for lack of a
Yes,
better way
yes.
of saying that,
You
right?
need to almost
Um,
like be able to like take the theory. I'm interjecting for a second, but you're taking
mhm,
these theoretical applications. But that's like having analogy of the episode. Okay, it's like having a coloring page where you have an outline, right? But if you give like that same coloring page to 15 different 7-year-olds, they're going to draw it with completely different colors. Some of
mhm,
them add their own patterns. Some of them use fine tip markers. Some of them use pencil crayons, right? Like there's all of these design elements that come together that are so unique to that individual 7-year-old who's filling in that coloring page. It's the same thing like when you're doing programming for someone and you want to personalize it to them, but you
yes.
have to understand, okay, like what artistic device am I using? What colors do I have in my palette? Like where am I putting them? Am I adding patterns? All that sort of stuff. That's what you're saying, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And if I think about, why I've been able to objectively be so consistent for so many years, it's because I've really done the internal work to ask myself these tough questions and really go deep on like what do I actually want as like a
Mhm.
person first.
Yeah.
It has a lot less to do with like all our fitness goals actually have a lot less to do with the actual fitness than we think they do.
So
Right?
true.
Like in my mind, like for Paris maxing, it's like, okay, like what kind of person do I really want? And then the fitness kind of like feeds into that.
Mhm.
Well, okay, I want my wife to be attracted to me, and like when she grabs my arm, be like, oh wow, like there's some biceps there, right? I want my friends to be like, yeah, this guy freaking has his shit together, right? Like I want to walk into the room. I want our clients to look up to me and be like, wow, he's always making progress and he's
Mhm.
always dialed in. Um, business wise, it's like, wow, he if he treats his body with this level of organization, he's probably the same way with how he does his service. Like there's so many different layers that all create this person.
Mhm.
So I think we are doing ourselves a disservice when we're overly focusing on like just these general kind of fitness things. It's like there's so much more kind of depth. We're going back to depth, but anyways, yeah,
Yeah, no, it's true, and I think the central theme of, like, trying to break through the limitations of having, something that is short-sighted, narrow, or generic really is it comes down to asking yourself the right questions to create that personal vision.
yeah,
If I
yeah,
had to summarize it, that's what it is.
yes,
And that personal vision, like you said, is not just about how you want to your physique to look, which can be part of it for sure, but it's like it's what that unlocks for your life.
hmm
So it's
hmm
anchoring fitness into your life. I want to share a quick anecdote that I heard in one of my client check-ins this week because, one of the questions I asked this individual is kind of tell me about what's going on in both, fitness and life, or what were your wins, fitness related or life wins.
hmm
And they said to me, actually, they're all the same this week. They're like, because fitness and life right now for me is the same because what they're getting from their fitness journey is progressing their life forward in new ways. And they're seeing their life as oriented around the habits they need to be successful in their fitness journey as
very
well.
cool,
And I took a minute. I was like,
cool unlock, yeah,
very cool unlock, very profound.
hmm
And this individual has a really amazing mindset of how they're approaching their fitness
hmm
journey. And they have physique goals. They are training for physique goals. And
hmm
we've got a timeline around their physique goals. We have, specific things that we're working on to develop those physique goals. But this is somebody who is chasing those specific fitness goals because it is doing something different for how they show up in their own minds, their own identity, their own sense of self, and ultimately what that's doing for their life. And that's pretty damn cool.
nice, yeah, super cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's ultimately where we want everybody to get to. Yeah.
Exactly. Are goals like important? Like, I don't know. That's kind of what we're trying to get at, right? Do you actually need a fitness goal?
I I think absolutely, because here's what really boggles my mind when I talk to people and they don't have a fitness goal. Because this is, if you think about fitness and health, is like such a key bucket. We have like work, relationships, fitness, and health, like kind of as the three kind of major buckets. So for you to have these major goals with those other two, but then you have, oh, I haven't even thought about what I might want to work on with my health or fitness. It's like, hold on a second, like what are we missing here? So
Yeah.
absolutely, we need a goal, but it has to check those boxes that we talked about. A,
Hmm.
it has to be a part of the grand vision that we created for ourselves as who we are. It has to be specific, as we were saying before. And it also, what was the other one that we said? We said,
Personalized.
yeah, personalized.
Hmm.
So
And have deeper
I think, yeah,
meaning and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, deeper meaning. But that's the
So
vision part, I think. Yeah.
yeah,
When it comes to goal setting, I do think it is important to always have one because you said like having a fitness goal is that unlock for other life things. And when you put it in the context of, okay, the buckets, that really, I like how you did that because that to me, when you almost equate it to those other things, like, okay, well, most people do have a goal for their careers, or most people do have like a goal in relationships, right? And if you don't, maybe ask yourself the same questions we're talking about today for those things too, right? But I think the ultimate fitness goals in my mind often are two things. There's two eyes that I'm going to bring forward. The two eyes of setting a meaningful fitness goal. It's often intangible, right? And it's identity based. Those are the two themes I kept coming back to because the intangible thing can have tangible elements. It's like, okay, cool. For some people it's a weight or it can be I can lift this much or whatever it is. But oftentimes the actual goal is intangible. It's what like even if you're talking about getting a promotion that feels tangible, but what does that do for you? Right? It's often like a feeling or like literally, when you were playing Xbox and you're like achievement unlocked and you get
yeah,
that,
yeah.
it's whatever that feeling is for you, that achievement unlocked feeling, that's the intangible piece.
hmm
And then
hmm
I often think I come back to the identity based because it's like it's about who you are. as a
Mhm.
person and how you want to move through life. And I'm going to keep rambling for just a second around why I think that's so important. Fitness goals are ultimate health and fitness goals. I'm going to bring those together are about how you exist in your body, right? And that can relate to how you look, but it can also relate to what you do with your body and how you feel in your body. And your body is literally the vehicle of how you experience all of life around you. So if
Mhm.
you're not taking care of that, you are not taking care of your life in the way that you could be.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
your identity is somewhat tied to your body, whether you like that or not, right? And I'm not just saying how you look. I'm not like aesthetics absolutely are
Yeah,
part of
yeah.
it for sure. We're not going to deny that. But it's also how do you feel? Are you healthy? And what can you do with your body that allows you to do these
Mhm.
cool things in life?
Absolutely, and I think whenever you have a certain kinda standard that you want for, like, yourself, right? The identity is attached to that, and then you start acting it keeps you accountable to acting in accordance with that.
Yes, yes.
So, I think that's like, for example, my vision, any decisions I make throughout my week are kind of accountable to that grand vision. So, if I'm about to choose, should I do this or that? It's like, well, which one is more aligned with the vision? Which
Hmm.
one is a stepping stone closer and which one is not aligned? And anything that's not aligned, like why would I
Hmm.
do it? You know?
Right.
Um,
But that also can be kind of helpful in terms of helping you prioritize too. Like if we're going
yeah,
to get practical for a second, right? If there's all these potential actions you could take in a day, it is helpful to actually know, like to have that vision to be like, okay, I'm just going to do these things. Because a lot of people get stuck in the trap of trying to do it all or trying to do more and more and more and more. And like at a certain point, you run out of bandwidth. But when you have a clear goal, Paris, this is brilliant because you just talked about like another big purpose around having a goal is filtering out the stuff you don't need to do.
yeah, yeah, yep.
That's helpful for me. I don't
Removing
know.
the
It brings
fluff.
me a lot
Yeah,
of mental relief.
absolutely. Especially for people that are, and it's fine. I literally wrote a caption about this for a post I'm going to probably post tomorrow, and it's people that are used to being overachievers are used to chasing a lot of things at once and being good at them all. Okay. That's what they did for their whole life, right? They'll be good at the sport and doing well in school and blah, blah, blah. But in fitness, you can't play that game. You can't be trying to become the best power lifter and then also do the high rocks race and also run the half marathon and also get your leanest physique. Like you can't because
You have
it's
finite resources.
you have yeah, exactly. So you are forced to get specific and prioritize.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think that has structural benefits for how you start to fit fitness into your life too, right?
Yeah.
Because you prioritize there, then you prioritize the other things you need to do around it and the structure piece and all that. And I think that the need for that level of prioritization only increases when you start to take on more life responsibilities.
Yeah.
Like when you
Absolutely.
were talking about that person who like did it all, I just kept thinking about high school and like we all knew people at our high schools that were like, you know, captain of this team and and played this sport outside of school as well and got straight A's and were also like the theater star or whatever it is. They did all the things. But those people over time, like something drops because you start to
Mhm.
either pursue something you're most passionate about or your bandwidth becomes limited,
Yeah.
you know? So
Absolutely. And
yeah.
that's okay. Yeah.
That's absolutely okay.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to having a fitness goal, I think we had a very philosophical conversation today, but I really
Yeah, we did.
enjoyed it. I like this kind of stuff. We'd love to know if you have a goal that you are working on. Please drop that in the comments below. Let us know what it is, whether that feels like a goal that you want help unpacking, being like, I have this goal, but I don't know what it means to me. Or if it's a goal that you have a lot of deep meaning around for yourself, we'd love to hear that too. Paris, is there anything else around having a fitness goal that you want to leave our listeners with today?
Not really. I think I did enough talking for this podcast, but I do I do want to say just like if I could say one key takeaway from all this was go deeper and really kind of don't let yourself get away with just setting some superficial goal. Because a lot of times, whether you realize it or not, there's something way deeper than I just want to lose a little bit of body fat or I want to put on some muscle. Like there's something so deep that you just haven't tapped.
And, you know, maybe you're the type of person who needs to shut yourself away from the rest of the world for like a couple hours and do that mental thinking on your own of going deeper. Or maybe you're someone who wants to talk it out. Because sometimes having somebody ask you the questions or like bounce ideas back and forth with you or ask you those whys can really help you also kind of uncover what that is.
Yeah. If you
Yeah.
want somebody to ask you good questions, book a call with Courtney. She'll get to the bottom of it.
I like to think so. All my years
Yeah.
working in marketing research and survey design taught me how to ask good questions. I like to think. So
There you go.
yeah. Cool. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Truth Talks. As always, we'll be back in your feeds with another episode next Monday. In the meantime, bye for now.